Stop believing that expensive clothes automatically create elegant colour combinations. That's outdated thinking that's holding you back. After analysing Jeff Bezos' $68 million Venice wedding, I've identified 7 colour mistakes that even wealthy celebrities made. Number 5 will completely change your approach. Mistake number 1. Kris Jenner's overwhelming leopard print pattern clash. Through my work with women like you, I've discovered that choosing bold animal prints that compete with, rather than complement your overall colour story at formal events, becomes especially problematic when you're a guest at someone else's celebration, where the focus should be on the hosts, not your styling choices. This becomes even more critical for women over 50 because we're expected to demonstrate sophisticated understanding of appropriate guest behaviour and elegant restraint. And our choices are often scrutinised more intensely than those of younger women. What's happening visually is that Kris Jenner's leopard print Dolce & Gabbana dress created visual chaos instead of sophisticated elegance, with multiple competing colours fighting for attention simultaneously. What made this particularly egregious was the timing and context. This was a formal wedding where guests should enhance the celebration's beauty, not dominate it through overwhelming pattern choices that photograph poorly and distract from the romantic atmosphere. The leopard print contained at least 4 distinct colours that all demanded attention at once, creating exactly the kind of visual noise that sophisticated women should avoid, especially when our goal is to look polished and age-appropriate rather than attention-seeking. Through my work with stylish women, I've learned that Kris Jenner's leopard print choice was particularly problematic because leopard contains at least 4 distinct colours: golden brown, black, cream, and darker brown, that all demanded attention at once. What made this even worse for a wedding setting was that these colours created visual noise that competed with the romantic Venice backdrop and drew attention away from the bride and groom. The golden browns in the leopard print clashed with the warm lighting of the evening celebration, while the black elements created harsh contrast that photographed poorly against Venice's soft, romantic architecture. For a woman over 60 attending someone else's wedding, this colour combination sent the wrong message. Instead of sophisticated guest elegance, it screamed, "Look at me," in a way that was inappropriate for the occasion. The cream elements in the print were particularly problematic because they could read as bridal in certain lighting, violating wedding guest etiquette, while the darker elements made the overall look heavy and aging rather than fresh and celebratory. Here's an approach that tends to work. If you choose animal prints for formal events, limit them to one statement piece and coordinate all other colours to complement the print's dominant tone. The secret with Kris Jenner's mistake was that she didn't consider how the multiple colours in leopard print would interact with the wedding's colour palette, the venue's natural colours, or her own skin tone under evening lighting. For women over 50, this becomes even more critical because our skin tone often changes with age. Menopause can affect our undertones, sun damage can alter our complexion, and natural aging can shift what colours look best on us. When selecting animal print pieces, choose those with sophisticated colour palettes rather than bright or neon variations that can appear cheap or attention-seeking. Look for prints in muted tones like taupe leopard, navy and cream zebra, or sophisticated snake prints in neutral colours that photograph beautifully and maintain elegance throughout long formal events. The key is understanding that leopard print's multiple colours need to be treated as a complete colour story. If you're wearing leopard, every other colour choice should support and enhance those existing colours rather than adding new ones that create chaos. Mistake number 2, Lauren Sanchez's golden dress colour choice that divided critics. I'm excited to share something that might help. Understanding that even as the bride, your colour choices can create controversy when they don't align with traditional expectations or flatter your skin tone, particularly when you're over 50 and every styling choice is scrutinised more intensely by fashion critics and the public, who often have different expectations for mature women. Notice how Lauren Sanchez's golden Schiaparelli dress choice sparked immediate criticism from fashion experts who called it a fashion flop and questioned the colour's appropriateness for a formal wedding. The criticism wasn't just about personal preference. Multiple fashion publications noted specific problems with how the golden colour interacted with her skin tone and the venue's lighting, creating unflattering photographic effects that a bride should never have to deal with on her special day. This becomes particularly relevant for women over 50 because golden and yellow-based colours can be especially tricky for mature skin, often emphasising yellow undertones that develop with age or highlighting areas where our complexion may have become uneven due to sun damage or hormonal changes. I worked with a woman who made similar bold colour choices for her own wedding. The golden colour that looks stunning in her mind and in certain lighting appeared brassy and unflattering in the actual wedding photos and under the mixed lighting conditions of the celebration. The problem with Lauren's golden dress choice was multifaceted. First, the particular shade of gold she chose had yellow undertones that competed with her skin's natural warmth, creating a muddy effect that made her appear sallow rather than radiant. Second, gold can be an incredibly tricky colour to photograph. Under warm lighting, it can appear beautiful, but under cooler lighting or flash photography, it can look cheap or brassy. Third, for a bride over 50, golden yellow tones can unfortunately emphasise ageing by highlighting any yellow undertones in the skin or teeth, creating an overall effect that's less flattering than intended. This is particularly problematic for women who have experienced menopause, as hormonal changes can affect our skin's undertones and make colours that once looked beautiful on us appear harsh or ageing. The specific shade Lauren chose also competed with the warm golden lighting of the Venice evening celebration, causing her to blend into the background rather than standing out as the radiant bride. What many women over 50 don't realise is that our optimal colour palette often shifts as we age. Colours that made us look vibrant in our 30s may now wash us out or emphasise ageing, requiring us to reassess our colour choices and potentially get professional colour analysis to determine what works best for our current complexion. This is something that consistently improves your formal presence. Choose colours that enhance your skin tone under various lighting conditions rather than competing with your natural colouring or the event's lighting scheme. The key with Lauren's mistake was that she didn't consider how the golden colour would interact with her skin tone, the venue's lighting, and the overall photographic documentation of her special day. Focus on creating intentional colour harmony that photographs beautifully and enhances your natural radiance rather than fighting against it. Consider the formality of your event when choosing colours. Certain shades that might work for casual celebrations can appear inappropriate or unflattering for formal occasions. Think about the lighting conditions you'll encounter throughout your event. Natural daylight, warm evening lighting, flash photography, and mixed indoor lighting all affect how colours appear. For women over 50, colour choices become even more critical because we want colours that bring life to our faces and enhance our natural beauty rather than emphasising ageing or creating unflattering effects. Consider how menopause may have affected your skin tone. Many women find that their undertones shift during this transition, requiring different colour strategies than they used in their younger years. The visual result you want is colour coordination that makes you look radiant and confident in every lighting condition and photograph, taking advantage of the wisdom and confidence that comes with age, while ensuring your colour choices support rather than undermine your natural beauty. Mistake number 3, the gaudy outfits that fashion critics condemned. What I've discovered through my work is that expensive doesn't automatically mean elegant, as evidenced by the fashion critics who described multiple guest outfits as gaudy and part of an apparel apocalypse. This criticism came from multiple respected fashion publications, indicating that the colour coordination problems were so widespread and obvious that they warranted professional commentary from industry experts who rarely use such harsh language to describe formal event styling, especially when discussing the choices of mature, wealthy women who should theoretically understand sophisticated dressing. The reason this creates problems is the combination of overly bright colours, excessive embellishments, and poor colour coordination that created visual chaos rather than sophisticated elegance. The fact that this happened at a $68 million celebration with access to the world's best designers makes the colour coordination failures even more instructive. It proves that money and designer access can't compensate for poor understanding of colour theory and appropriate formal event styling. When fashion professionals use terms like apparel apocalypse, they're describing a level of visual chaos that goes beyond individual poor choices to encompass a systematic failure of colour coordination across multiple guests, many of whom were mature women who should have had the experience and wisdom to make more sophisticated choices. Watch what fashion experts identified as the core problem: guests who chose colour combinations that were too bright, too busy, or too attention-seeking for a formal wedding celebration, creating what critics called an apparel apocalypse, despite the $68 million budget. The Gaudy criticism specifically targeted colour choices that were inappropriate for the occasion. Neon brights that photographed poorly against Venice's romantic architecture, metallic combinations that created harsh glare in photos, and colour clashes that showed poor understanding of formal event appropriateness. What made these choices particularly problematic was that they demonstrated how wealth doesn't automatically translate to good taste. Guests had access to the most expensive designers, but still made colour choices that appeared cheap, attention-seeking, or inappropriate for the sophisticated Venice setting. The critics noted that many guests seemed to confuse expensive with elegant, choosing colours and combinations that might work for casual celebrations but looked out of place at a formal European wedding. For women over 50, this becomes particularly concerning because we're often judged more harshly for fashion missteps, and what might be forgiven as experimental or youthful in a younger woman can be criticised as trying too hard or age inappropriate when we make similar choices. This is what I've learned through experience works best for formal event colour coordination. Research appropriate colour palettes for your specific event type and venue, understanding that formal celebrations require more sophisticated restraint than casual gatherings. The key is understanding that gaudy typically results from too many competing elements, too many bright colours, too much metallic shine, too many patterns or combinations that fight against each other rather than creating harmony. Consider the venue and setting when choosing colours. What works in a modern city setting might look completely inappropriate against historic European architecture. Think about how your colour choices will photograph and whether they enhance or detract from the celebration's overall aesthetic. For women over 50, this becomes even more important because we want to project sophisticated confidence and elegant restraint that demonstrates our maturity and wisdom. Consider how your body may have changed since menopause. Weight redistribution, changes in posture, or shifts in proportions may affect which colours and colour combinations are most flattering on your current figure. Beyond avoiding obviously inappropriate choices, consider the subtle ways that colour combinations can appear gaudy, metallic overload, clashing undertones, or colours that compete with the natural beauty of your setting. I'm glad you're here learning these sophisticated colour principles. If you want more insights like these about elegant colour coordination for women over 50, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I share professional styling secrets regularly that help you avoid these expensive mistakes. Now, let's keep going because the next few tips reveal some truly shocking celebrity colour errors. Mistake number 4. Seasonal colour inappropriateness for June Venice setting. My clients consistently tell me that your colour combinations should harmonise with both the season and your destination's natural aesthetic. Something several Bezos wedding guests clearly didn't consider when planning their formal wear for this romantic Italian celebration. And this becomes particularly important for women over 50 who want to appear sophisticated and worldly rather than disconnected from their environment. Trust me on this. When fashion critics noted that some guests chose heavy, dark colour combinations that looked completely out of place against Venice's romantic summer setting and beautiful canal backdrops. The contrast was so stark that it appeared these guests had packed for a completely different season and destination, showing poor planning and lack of awareness about how to dress appropriately for specific settings and times of year. For mature women, this kind of mistake can be particularly damaging to our image because we're expected to have the wisdom and experience to understand appropriate dressing for different contexts, and when we get it wrong, it can make us appear out of touch or lacking in sophisticated judgment. My clients consistently tell me that the most photographed guests chose seasonally appropriate colour combinations that felt natural for the time and place, while others appeared disconnected from Venice's June atmosphere. The problem with the inappropriate seasonal choices at the wedding was that they created visual discord with the setting. Dark, heavy colours like deep burgundy or charcoal grey that might look stunning in autumn or winter appeared out of place and visually heavy against Venice's light, romantic summer aesthetic. These colour choices fought against the natural beauty of the June Venice setting instead of harmonising with it, making the guests appear disconnected from their environment and showing poor understanding of destination appropriateness. For women over 50, this becomes particularly problematic because seasonal inappropriateness can actually age us. Heavy, dark colours in summer settings can make us appear older and more matronly, while seasonally appropriate colours can make us look fresh, current, and in tune with our environment. Here's what works reliably for destination colour coordination. Research your destination's natural colour palette and seasonal characteristics. Then choose combinations that harmonise with, rather than fight against the setting. For the Venice wedding in June, the most successful colour choices complemented the city's romantic architecture. Soft blues that echoed the canals, warm creams that harmonised with ancient stone, or elegant jewel tones that photographed beautifully against the historic backdrops and golden summer lighting. Think about how your colour combinations will look in photos against your destination's natural beauty, ensuring they enhance rather than clash with the environment. Consider also how your body's needs may have changed with age. If you experience hot flashes or temperature sensitivity due to menopause, choose colours and fabrics that will keep you comfortable while still looking elegant. The guests who made seasonal mistakes at the Bezos wedding demonstrated how ignoring your setting's natural colour palette can make you appear out of place and unsophisticated, regardless of how expensive your outfit might be. For women over 50, seasonal appropriateness also demonstrates our sophisticated understanding of how to dress for different contexts, showing that we've learned from experience and can adapt our style choices to enhance rather than fight against our environment. Mistake number 5. Overwhelming colour combinations that competed for attention. Watch what I mean about the apparel apocalypse that critics described. It was largely due to guests using too many bold colours simultaneously, creating visual chaos instead of sophisticated elegance. This becomes particularly problematic at high-profile events where every styling choice is scrutinised and photographed extensively by professional photographers and fashion critics who understand the principles of elegant colour coordination, and it's especially damaging for women over 50 because we're often judged more harshly for fashion missteps that might be forgiven in younger women. You know what I mean when fashion experts describe a $68 million wedding as an apparel apocalypse? Expensive clothes combined with poor colour coordination created genuinely overwhelming visual effects. The criticism wasn't about individual pieces being poorly made or cheap. These were expensive designer items, but about the fundamental misunderstanding of how colours work together and how they should be coordinated for formal celebrations. The fact that multiple fashion publications use such strong language indicates that the colour coordination problems were severe enough to detract from what should have been a beautiful romantic celebration, and many of the women making these mistakes were mature women who should have had the experience and wisdom to understand sophisticated colour coordination. Here's the thing. I can tell you from experience that the Gaudy criticism specifically targeted guests who combined multiple bright colours, metallic elements, and bold patterns in ways that created visual chaos rather than elegant coordination. The overwhelming colour combinations that critics condemned demonstrated a fundamental misunderstanding of sophisticated colour theory. Guests seemed to think that more expensive meant more colourful, or that a high-profile event called for maximum visual impact through colour overload. What made these combinations particularly problematic was that they competed not only within each individual outfit, but also with other guests' equally overwhelming choices, creating a visual cacophony that detracted from the celebration's romantic elegance. For women over 50, this becomes especially concerning because overwhelming colour combinations can actually make us appear anxious, scattered, or like we're trying too hard to recapture youth through visual shock rather than embracing the sophisticated elegance that should come with our life experience. What I've learned is that the apparel apocalypse criticism reveals how successful colour coordination requires restraint and strategic planning rather than using every beautiful colour available in one outfit. The key is understanding that colours have visual weight and emotional impact that can either enhance or overwhelm your overall presence. And when multiple guests make overwhelming colour choices, the cumulative effect can be genuinely chaotic. Consider how different colours interact with each other and with your event's setting. The Venice wedding's romantic, historic setting called for colours that complemented rather than competed with the natural beauty of the location. For women over 50, sophisticated colour coordination becomes even more important because overwhelming colour combinations can make us appear like we don't understand elegant restraint or appropriate formal event styling. The most elegant approach is to choose colours that enhance your natural beauty and create a cohesive story rather than competing for attention within your own outfit or with other guests' choices. Think about how menopause and ageing may have affected your natural colouring. Many women find that colours they once loved now appear too harsh or overwhelming against their changed complexion, requiring a more refined approach to colour selection. Consider also how your lifestyle and confidence may have evolved. As mature women, we often want our clothing choices to reflect our wisdom, experience, and sophisticated judgment, rather than appearing like we're desperately trying to capture attention through visual chaos. Mistake number 6, poor colour coordination with Venice's golden hour lighting. What I've found to be effective is acknowledging that Venice's famous golden hour lighting can either enhance or completely destroy your colour choices, something several wedding guests learned the hard way, and this becomes particularly important for women over 50 because we want to take advantage of naturally flattering lighting rather than fighting against it with poor colour choices. This is a principle that consistently works because Venice's unique lighting conditions, particularly the warm golden light reflecting off the canals, can make certain colour combinations appear muddy, washed out or unflattering, especially on mature skin that may have lost some of its natural radiance and needs all the help it can get from flattering lighting and colour choices. Here's what I've found works well. The most radiant guests chose colour combinations that enhanced rather than competed with Venice's golden hour lighting, understanding that the city's unique light quality requires strategic colour planning. The problem with poor colour coordination at the Venice wedding was that guests who didn't consider the lighting conditions found their carefully chosen colours looking completely different than intended. Cool-toned colours appeared muddy and unflattering in the warm golden light, while certain warm colours became oversaturated and brassy. The golden light reflecting off the canals created a unique lighting environment that could either make guests look radiant and glowing or washed out and unflattering, depending on their colour choices. For women over 50, this becomes particularly critical because we want to take advantage of any naturally flattering lighting to enhance our appearance, and Venice's golden hour light is famous for being incredibly romantic and flattering, but only if your colours work with rather than against this natural phenomenon. Additionally, as we age, our skin may become more sensitive to harsh lighting or unflattering colour combinations, making it even more important to choose colours that enhance rather than detract from our natural beauty in various lighting conditions. Here's what creates lasting confidence and beautiful colour coordination in Venice's unique lighting. Select colours that enhance rather than compete with the golden hour glow, understanding that warm golden light can dramatically affect how colours appear in person and in photographs. Consider how the warm light reflecting off the canals will interact with your chosen colours. Cool blues and greys can appear muddy and unflattering, while warm colours can become oversaturated if not chosen carefully. Look for colours that complement rather than fight against the golden light, soft corals that glow beautifully, elegant creams that appear luminous, or sophisticated jewel tones that maintain their richness without becoming overwhelming. For women over 50, this becomes even more important because we want colours that bring life to our faces and enhance our natural radiance, rather than making us appear tired or washed out. Consider how your skin tone may have changed with age. Menopause can affect our undertones, and sun damage or natural aging can shift what colours look best on us. The goal is to choose colours that work with Venice's golden lighting to create a naturally flattering effect that makes you look radiant and youthful, rather than fighting against this beautiful natural illumination. I'd love to know, which colour combination mistake have you made at formal events? Be honest, I see these patterns constantly with my clients, and recognising them is the first step to elevating your entire colour coordination approach. Mistake number 7, metallic overload that created flash photography disasters. What I consistently recommend is understanding that excessive metallic elements can create harsh glare and unflattering effects in flash photography, something that became apparent in the Bezos wedding photos, and this becomes particularly problematic for women over 50 because harsh metallic reflections can emphasise aging and create unflattering shadows that draw attention to areas we prefer to minimise. This is an approach that gets results because several guests chose metallic heavy outfits that photographed poorly under the mixed lighting conditions of the celebration, creating harsh reflections and unflattering glare that made them appear overdressed and trying too hard rather than elegantly coordinated. Here's what I've found works well. The most photogenic guests use metallics strategically rather than overwhelming their entire look with reflective elements that created photography problems. The challenge with metallic overload at the wedding was that guests who chose heavily metallic outfits, think sequined dresses, metallic shoes, and multiple metallic accessories, created harsh reflections that were unflattering in flash photography and overwhelming in the romantic candlelit portions of the celebration. The metallic elements that looked glamorous in person became problematic when photographed, creating hotspots of glare that drew attention away from the guests' faces and toward the reflective surfaces instead. For women over 50, this becomes particularly concerning because harsh metallic reflections can emphasize aging by creating unflattering shadows and highlights that draw attention to areas like necklines, under-eye areas, or facial texture that we'd prefer to minimize. Additionally, excessive metallics can make mature women appear like we're trying too hard to recapture youth through sparkle and shine, rather than embracing the sophisticated elegance that should come with our life experience. The goal should be to look intentionally elegant and age-appropriate, rather than accidentally overwhelming through excessive metallic elements that fight against rather than enhance our natural beauty. Here's what creates lasting elegance and sophisticated metallic coordination. Select one metallic element as your focal point and keep all other elements matte or non-reflective to create balance and prevent photography disasters. The key is understanding that metallics should enhance your overall look rather than dominating it through excessive shine that creates unflattering photographic effects. Consider the lighting conditions you'll encounter throughout your event. The Bezos wedding included natural daylight, golden hour lighting, candlelit dinner settings, and flash photography, each of which interacts differently with metallic elements. For women over 50, strategic metallic use becomes even more important because we want to look sophisticated and elegant, rather than overdressed or attention-seeking through excessive shine. Look for ways to incorporate metallics that enhance rather than overwhelm, perhaps metallic shoes with a matte dress, or delicate metallic jewellery with non-reflective fabrics. Consider how your skin and hair may have changed with age. If you've gone grey or your skin tone has shifted, certain metallics may be more or less flattering than they once were. You now have 7 powerful strategies to elevate your colour coordination game and avoid the mistakes that even wealthy celebrities made. Pick the 3 most relevant to your current colour challenges and start implementing them. I'd love to hear your results in the comments. Check out the videos on your screen now.